Hello and welcome to Curated Spaces, the podcast that explores the stories behind the spaces reimagining how we stay, work and play. Join me, Molly Cooper, as I sit down with founders, owners and thought leaders to hear about their journey of bringing a space to life. Great spaces shape our lives. They inspire, nurture and connect us. But most importantly, they bring us together to share life's milestones with the people who mean the most to us. So, whether you're a traveller, foodie or design seeker, join us as we celebrate the power of spaces and the brilliant people behind them. Today I'm out in North Norfolk at a space that sits somewhere between your local boozer, a country hotel and contemporary art gallery. It is, of course, the Gunton Arms. Nestled in a 1,000-acre deer park, it serves up venison and other local produce that's cooked on an open fire with a 10,000-year-old elk's head hanging above the fireplace. And I'm incredibly excited to welcome both Stuart and Simone Tattersall to the podcast, who are going to tell me all about bringing this incredible space to life. Stuart, Simone, welcome to Creative Spaces. How are you doing today?
We're great, yeah, welcome to you. I remember the last time I saw you, you was enjoying a margarita and a sticky toffee pudding.
I mean, the dinner of champions. Is that the combo I never knew I needed in my life?
Yeah, it's inspiration for the menu now.
I love it. And how about you, Simone? How are you doing today?
I'm really good, thank you. It's lovely to have you here.
Oh, such a pleasure. And we're here in the snuggest little sitting room at the Gunton Arms, looking out over that amazing deer park, which I can't wait to hear all about. But first off, I'd love to hear a bit about you guys and your stories and how you've ended up here in North Norfolk.
Yeah, I think Simone and I met in Yorkshire, even though I'm a Lancastrian. Ooh. We met in the fine city of Leeds in a fish restaurant, which I launched in, I can't remember the date. When was it, Simone?
I think you opened it about 1999,
yeah, and
2000, and I joined the team in 2001.
Personally speaking, it was fantastic for me. It was even though it was a chain restaurant, it was part of the Chez Gerard group. It was kind of like the last gasp where I was given autonomy in the kitchen and sourced my own suppliers, recruited my own team, wrote my own menu. Yeah. So I enjoyed that, and that was like a great insight into the industry. Unfortunately, everything tightened up after that. A lot of these companies used to bulk buy. It all became very generic for all these companies. So I kind of had a really lucky break on numerous occasions. Mm-hmm. One of them being arriving at the Gunton Arms, I suppose.
Yeah. And how about you, Simone? Because you guys met there and then you went down to London, didn't you?
We did. So prior to me joining the team at lifeSetting, I'd done the travelling bit. Yeah. And I fully intended to just work there for a short amount of time to save up some money.
That's how they get you, isn't it?
Yeah. And then met Stuart and a whole host of friends that we're still close with today. And the bright lights of London were calling and off we went, basically, wasn't it? And then how did we get to here from there, really?
Well, I was working in quite a lot of independent restaurants in London, and I really cottoned on to the resurgence of the British seasonal food movement. So who was at the helm of that? No other than Mark Hicks. You know, he was a leading light, championed all the suppliers. And again, I was very fortunate to be offered the head chef's job in his first solo restaurant. It was the Oyster and Chop House in Farringdon. Again, you know, I was given so much responsibility and freedom. And Mark kind of took away the mystique of it all. It was like the honesty of the ingredients, you know, 3 things on a plate, fiercely loyal to the seasons. And I kind of just bought into it, really, and decided that was the route I was going to go. So 4 years at the Chop House. Through that, we got introduced to
so I joined the team. It was a really young company because Mark had left Caprice Holdings, hadn't he? Where he'd been for about 25 years. So we're at the beginning of this young company. Stuart was one of the first in, and I'd moved with Group Chez Gerard down to London, so I was cutting my teeth in their management programs, and then wanted to move to an independent, get away from the chains, and joined the Hicks team when they opened Soho. So I was at Soho when Stuart was in East London, and it was just a really great, fun time. I think the beginning times of any company is the best years. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work hard, play hard, as they say. But we learned so much, and it was whilst working for Mark that I met Ivor, doing outside catering jobs away from the normal restaurant work. So on evenings we'd do gallery jobs at Tracey Emin's or down on the South Bank, and Ivor was a private client. And unlike most clients who you go in, you do your job, you get in, you get out, Ivor was very welcoming and have a glass of wine and all of that. Just a really nice guy. And then, yes, it was sort of through that, and then I believe he bought the Gunton Arms because he lives on the estate. He was looking for specifically a couple, wasn't he, to run the place when it opened. And he went to Mark and Prue Leith and a few other people to ask for advice, and Mark said, meet Simone and Stuart. We'd been looking at something in the Cotswolds through Mark, and that hadn't kind of fitted us. So it kind of just all got placed together. And the first time we really spoke to him, we met at Liverpool Street Station. We all got on the train for 2 hours, and that was kind of the interview, was just really chatting on a train and coming up here. And that was the first time I'd ever been to Norfolk.
Really?
Got shown around the estate in the gamekeeper's van, thrown about in the back with his dogs, and sat in all my city coat and everything. And at the end of that day, he sort of just turned to us and said, "What do you think? You're going to do it?" And we went, "Yeah, why not? What have we got to lose?" And it was really as simple as that. And the second time I came to Norfolk was the transit van full of stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, well, all roads lead to Norfolk in this case. And maybe for people who haven't been here to this part of the world, could you paint a bit of a picture of the local area?
Well, I think we're 10 minutes from the coast.
Which is beautiful and wild. And
5 miles from Cromer, world famous for its crabs, of course. And then the whole surrounding area is peppered with beautiful National Trust buildings, Blickling Hall, Felbrig. The question I get asked on a daily basis, at breakfast usually, is, well, what do you recommend we should do? And I'd say to stick to that coastal road. If you head north from here, you just stumble on idyllic village after idyllic village, little village pubs. And it's famous. Everybody's got a dog in Norfolk, so.
But it's a really arty county as well. I think because of the vast skies, it's very open, and I think you find there's lots of creative people that live around and about as well.
Definitely. And it's such a huge landmass. I was driving here last night. I think in my head, I think it's a bit like Kent, which is actually quite a shallow land, but actually it really goes on. It's a big county.
But you have to be coming here.
Yeah.
There are no other inroads.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no motorway. It's still very undiscovered.
You don't bypass Norfolk.
Yeah. You come here with intention.
And you've got a real mix. You've got the Broads as well as the beaches, and I like to say mountains, but there really aren't any.
I was going to say, Norfolk and mountains are not a combo I think of.
Norwich as well, it's a fantastic medieval city, and it's retained its independent shops. It's not sold out to the big kind of chains. It's got its share of shopping centres, but you can still meander around the lanes and the streets of Norwich. It's a fantastic city, yeah. And there's a lovely little train line.
So when you've had one too many here, you can just jump on the train home.
Well, that's the other thing. We don't get any footfall at the Gunton Arms. You can only access it by vehicle.
Yeah.
It's not like you're in a little village where the villagers sort of totter down the road and have a few pints. You have to travel by car. So we're a bit not limited, but with destination place.
Definitely. Well, let's get into the Gunton then. So you come here, you park up, and I love you have to walk through the actual enclosure fence of the deer park to go through, and then this beautiful old sort of pebble outside exterior with the sort of red strips around the side, looking out over this amazing view I'm looking at now, just rolling parkland and trees. I'd love to hear a bit about bringing it to life. How did it happen? What was that project like?
So when we first came here, it was an old country house hotel called Elderton Lodge, and it just needed some love and attention. There was an old conservatory on the back. It was very tired. It was sort of very lilac and peachy and twee. Yeah. But Ivor being Ivor, who's, very rock and roll, that wasn't his vision at all. And actually one of the big things that came to be here that I think was wholly his idea was cooking on the open fire that we do in the elk room. And he said, yeah, I've got this idea about cooking on this fire. They do it in France and everything. And my only point of reference to cooking indoors was like Turkish restaurants, mangal grills, that kind of thing. I just couldn't understand it. I thought children were going to get hurt. I had all these health and safety worries. And he said, no, we've got to go to Paris. We've got to see this restaurant. And we did.
Yeah, I think we went for lunch with a tape measure in hand. Came back, did our interpretation.
The restaurant's called Robert et Louise.
Yeah, they do the whole menu, I think, on the fire, whereas we focus on the venison, the steaks. So we do like ribs of beef, pork chops. We make our own venison sausages. So that's kind of an offering from the fire. And truth be told, it's the focal point.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a real draw. People love it. People come back for it. People hear all about it. And then you're disappointed on a Sunday because we do a traditional Sunday lunch. We don't cook on the fire.
I just think it's funny that we thought he was mad, and actually it was genius. He knew exactly that it was going to work, and
it's hard to miss it. Like you walk into the pub, you go through the sort of bar area, and there's those absolutely gigantic
showstopper
just hanging over this fireplace. And I think, Beth was telling me they're 10,000-year-old elk antlers?
Yeah, that's right. But the other thing is everything in the building was renovated, 12 years ago now. But if you look around, you'd think it'd been like this for hundreds of years. And that's the work of Ivor and Robert Keim, the design team, who have made it just look lived in and just comfortable. Even the bar was brand new oak, and it's been distressed down. Yeah, it's almost like a stage set, but it works. It's not cheesy or...
And that's so interesting. It sounds like the food actually came first, and you sort of had this idea, cooking over the open fire, going back to olden times, slowing things down, hyper-seasonal. And then the design sort of came to marry with that. And again, you've got this sort of timeless, British, a lot of William Morris, very cosy, like dark jewel box colours, dark corners. But then actually have all this amazing art as well.
It's all a juxtapose, I think. We made a conscious decision to not have televisions in our rooms, to help guests disconnect from the outside world. And we live in a time where we're all on our phones and laptops and everything all the time, and it was just to kind of take technology out and let people read and relax and be down in the bar. Actually, that was, Ivor said, let's not put TVs up there. We want them in the bar spending money.
I see what he's done there. Yeah.
It's people seem to love it. It's connected with, like I said, we've been here just over a decade, and it's connected with people in so many ways. Lots of people that started coming when we first opened still come. We've seen people get married, and all of it, all of life, which is really lovely.
There wasn't a lot of head scratching when it came to doing the menu. The hub of the park, if you notice, you're surrounded by fallow and red deer, which when in season is really instrumental. And as I said previously, Cromer's 5 miles down the road, so you've got the offering of the shellfish. So the template for the menu had already been given to me by the locality. So 12 years in, we kind of venture through the calendar. The winter months brings us local game, pheasants, partridge, and then you get into spring, which I love, when you get the asparagus, the wild garlic comes in, and the Cromer crabs and the lobsters start to come back. So it's almost like a helping hand.
Yeah.
And when you're in London, you don't get a chance to appreciate that. You don't get a chance to be privy to it on your doorstep. You can drive down the road and people have stalls outside the houses selling Samphire. Bunches of, and that can kind of prompt you into saying, "Oh my God, it's that time of year. I should have it on my menu by now." So that's been a joy as a chef for me.
Yeah. And there's something incredibly grounding about living in the seasons, and it feels like it's having such a moment now everywhere with seasonal produce. It sounds like you were way ahead of the curve in doing this.
I think a lot of people would love to do it, and I'm sure there's a lot of tormented chefs out there who strive to do it, but it's been made easy for me because it is on my doorstep, and people do actually knock on my door and say, would you be interested in this sea bass we're just lying caught from the beach, or we just got a box of sprout tops, so instead of Brussels sprouts we'll be using the leaves on the menu with chestnuts. Now we're getting into the festive period. It's
partridge, loads of partridge around here.
Yeah, but venison is the main thing. The bar, we do a great venison sausage roll. What gets perched on the bar, so you can have a slice of that with your pint of ale. There's a pool table in the bar. So a lot of thought went into kind of grounding the offering. It wasn't a case of it couldn't be confused with a fine dining destination. It is fundamentally a pub. And it was important to get the beer right, get the food right, get the ambience right. Those key ingredients which allow you to attract people. And again, nothing's changed. We got a lot of things right early on. Not everybody doesn't get the chance to do that.
Yeah, I remember feeling like we were in the eye of the storm to start with those first couple of years, because we were really lucky to be awarded the Michelin Pub of the Year. We won
Best new entry in good food guide.
Yeah, but it all kind of came. You can't quite process it. I think it's taken this length of time to actually look back and go, wow, we did.
But we also refuse to get complacent about it. We really appreciate it. We've retained that Michelin Bib Gourmand now for 10 years, which we're really, really proud of. But we've got the team to do it. We've got a great core team who allow us to keep the consistency, allow us to be bold enough to venture further with it.
A lot of your kitchen team have been here between 8 and 10 years, and even the front of house staff like Beth and Lizzie and everybody have been here at least 5 years. So we retain a core team that all believe in what we're doing.
And they share our understanding of how special the place is. And again, Ivor's great at inspiring people, and you often find him taking people on an art tour around the pub, and he's very proud of what we've all achieved, and it is something we've all done together.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And it does feel like so I walked in quite late last night, but there was a real buzz here. There were people in the bar. The pool table was busy. People were enjoying those margaritas in the restaurant looking at you, Stuart. But there was a real buzz, and like you say, it's not in the heart of a village. You're not picking up footfall, but there was it was alive. It was full of warmth and people enjoying.
But you did arrive at a very special time of the year.
Yeah.
Winter, I always say, it comes into its own. The pub kind of lends itself to that William Morris vibe. Yeah. Arts and crafts feel to the place. The fires are going. The menu represents the winter months.
And also people come here for escapism, and that's what they get.
Whereas it is summer, people spill out onto
It's a different beast.
the lawns outside. Yeah, it is. It gets very busy. We get a lot of visitors to the county who want to come, and that's why we can. It's not all about a restaurant. We offer a varied snack menu, and you can sit outside and have a salt beef sandwich.
Yeah, well, it's lovely, isn't it? And in terms of the people who come here, then, is it a mix of locals and tourists? Or?
Very much, yeah, very much. We're two northerners that moved here to open this. Ivor was already living here on the estate for about 20 odd years, wasn't he? So it was, if any of us, he had the connection here. But I feel that what we bought was, everybody was welcome. We had no preconceived ideas of anybody that lived locally or, social ranking or anything. The one rule was, as long as you behave yourself, you're welcome. And so, yeah, we've always had it, everybody rubs together in the bar, whether you're, a famous face.
Very inclusive, not exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no private dining rooms or anything like that. Everybody just has to kind of melee on together.
Yeah, because you guys don't actually do big parties, really. You don't do exclusive hires or anything.
No.
I'd love to hear a bit about the reasoning behind that. And
really, just because we wanted to be a pub first and foremost, and to be open, and it would be really easy to close every Saturday through August and do a wedding and get our money in that way, but that wasn't the idea. The idea was to be here for the local community as much as anybody that would be coming to stay for the weekend from out of town. So it was really important to all of us that we just be, a bit more grounded than.
And also, I think the Elderton Lodge, I think that used to rely on weddings at the weekends. I think
that was what the Gunton was called.
Ivor was adamant he didn't want to sort of pursue that.
I think it irritated him, them playing dance music till 2 a.m, because it's very flat. It floats across to the tower, and his then wife Sarah Graham said, "Well, if you don't like it, buy it." So he did.
Saying that, I meet a lot of locals who miss it. And they thought it had a unique charm to the place. Pink tablecloths and waiters with waistcoats, and
they like us now as well.
And actually, that's so true what you say about making a space for the local community and being here for the people who live here, and sort of prioritising that rather than big sellouts to people who come for a wedding once a year or whatever it is. And actually, kind of as you were speaking, that it kind of reminded me of this whole like William Morris thing, which obviously has prints everywhere. I think you were saying you have some original curtains next door from the big man himself, and his whole thing was around sort of slowing down and going back to sort of shunning this like modern technology, which he saw as a disaster, and like connecting with people, building communities, which seems really apt for what you guys are doing here. Yeah.
And also because Gunton Park is a private park, I think I've really wanted to give people the opportunity to have a glimpse. So the Gunton Arms provides people with a little bit of a sneak kind of view of the park in its full glory.
Definitely.
So that was quite important.
Yeah, to slip through those big park
just to welcome people and say, look, you know, Gunton Park is, you know, it's a thing of beauty in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, people come to sit outside and watch the deer and have a pint as much as they come for, you know, not everybody comes to dine. People come and look at the artwork. I mean, you know, we've got people on our walls, even in this room. You've got Lucian, Freud.
Gerard Stamp.
And you wouldn't get the opportunity outside of a gallery to see these works of art on a pub wall. And Ivor was really ahead of the curve in doing that. I think there's a few more places that have opened now in Somerset and places. But
Ivor was a pioneer, really.
He was doing it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Giving people access not only to a sort of physical space, but also this like creative space. And access to these amazing work of art. I mean, how often do you get to go to the loo with a Damien Hirst?
Exactly. He didn't want to put on, you know, it'd been really easy to put pictures of Clyde Windmill or, you know, children playing on a beach, but he didn't, you know, he wanted to challenge you more than that. He wanted to make it provocative and thought-provoking and something to talk about over dinner rather than...
I think provocative is a great word. Some of the pieces are quite, whoa, okay. Like, it's quite dark and snug and cosy. And I'm also quite short-sighted, which doesn't help. I'd be like, oh yeah, nice painting. And I'm like, whoa, that's not what I thought it was at first.
Yeah, you get a jolt. You know?
And you get closer and you're like, wow, okay, that's that. I love it.
Why are you choking on your margarita?
I'm like, oh God. Just trying to enjoy my sticky toffee pudding here.
It's not for everyone. We've had our
But we also win over quite a lot of people. A lot of people come a little bit when they've obviously heard other people's opinions, and it's not until they come that they buy into it and appreciate what we've done. Of course, there's always going to be something people are going to find distasteful.
Better be Marmite than beige, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So many pubs, I think, you probably used to, minus the artwork, but used to be very dark and oaky and cosy, you know, stained by smoke, nicotine in their time. And
little snug rooms.
All got ripped out. They put in lots of overhead lighting and big white spaces. And, you know, we've taken everything back to how pubs used to be, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And you're looking around, I mean, it feels like this could have been here 50 years ago and it could still be here 50 years.
Definitely.
I feel incredibly right for that time and day.
Yeah.
It's really well done. Well, speaking of that then, looking ahead, what does the next chapter for the Gunton Arms look like?
The next chapter is hard work is the day-to-day for us. It's the consistency, all the boring little bits, you know, ensuring that the standards are maintained, you know, making sure the rooms, the upkeep of the rooms, because it's quite unique in another way, whereas it's not been put together in a commercial way. It wasn't done like that. It's quite unique in the fact that all the fixtures and fittings are not what an orthodox hotelier might have done, you know, and that's what gives it its homely feel as well.
Yeah, it gives it its charm, but
so
the
yeah,
upkeep of all of that is ongoing.
Well, our challenges are just ensuring we don't get complacent, keeping the team motivated. We've recently opened up our sister pub, the Stuart Arms, which has a Mediterranean themed offering down there. But again, another fantastic venue where Ivor's given the place a bit of Victorian greenhouse lean-to approach to the restaurant, but retain the locals bar in the same vein we have at the Gunton Arms. And then I think the jewel in the crown is the upstairs cocktail bar, which is, you know, it's like being transported back to Prohibition times. It's just got a fantastic kind of vibe. It's got to be sort of seen to believed, really. You have to go and see it for yourself.
Rich
It's amazing.
velvet, banquette seating and heavy drapery, and I mean, it's like a spaceship's landed in Norfolk, and there's beautiful little private bar.
You can enjoy paellas, you know, sitting next to venison tagines and, you know, all the Spanish hams and jamons, and so it's
That
a really
sounds lovely. Oh, I got everything here in Norfolk. Might time for me to make a movie. And you've also just opened just a couple of years ago, opened your kitchen garden here.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. We've got Julie on board, who's really taken ownership, made it a labour of love.
We're rebuilding the Victorian glass house.
Finding out what works, what doesn't work.
But the glass house is going to be, that will open up to, you know, cultivating tomatoes and fruits and
vines in there.
All these things. We've got 100-year-old vines that we've been having to carefully protect from the latest frost. So they're actually building that part first so that the vines can stay living there. It's exciting.
I'd love to do a table in the garden in the summer. In the summer months, sit down there and dine amongst the vines.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Let me know when you're hosting it. I'll be back.
A big summer party, massive trestle tables full of flowers, and be lovely.
That'll get you through the winter. Keep thinking on that. Yeah, focus on that. Oh, it's been so lovely chatting. Before we do go, I do have a closing tradition. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Imagine you've just cashed the winning lottery checks and money is of no object, and you just let me know what space comes to mind for each of you. So number 1 is, where do you get away from it all to detox and disconnect?
Wow. Well, we, Simone's family, have had an apartment in Malta for many decades.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed being a guest in Malta and in a family home. So I think that's a real home from home, chance to just down tools, switch off, you know, sip a beer in the sun. That's I think that's my little escape.
Yeah, it's still
it feels very easy for us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's very easy to go for us. Yeah.
Little fishing village.
Are you the same, or you get me out of Malta?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do love sunshine, but I was born in Leeds, and so the Yorkshire Dales and the North York Moors, Whitby area, really, you know, I love holidaying up there. So yeah, and I don't know, any space that we're together as a family, really.
Okay, next one's slightly different. Your ultimate birthday party, where are you hosting it?
The Gunton Arms.
Not the Gunton Arms. No, you can say the Gunton if you want.
Yeah, wow, what a question. Don't know, Ibiza.
Oh, love that. Yeah. You won the lottery, go for it.
Yeah.
Hire out all of Ibiza.
Yeah, well, yeah, who knows? Don't know. Seems like we've got the family now, so I suppose it's all a bit difficult to get the dog and everybody to Ibiza, maybe, yeah.
Well, Gunton Arms it is then, hey?
Yeah.
And then finally, once in a lifetime, bucket list trip. Where are you going? And are you staying anywhere special?
It's quite hard questions, these.
I know, because you'd go everywhere. You'd want to go everywhere. Where would I really want to go there? I'd go back to Brazil, for sure.
You always used to say, because you spent some time in New England, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I'd love to go to Maine and go to all the little shellfish shacks and stuff like that. So I've never been, so that's kind of
I've never been to the Caribbean
bucket
either.
list.
I know you work there. I'd like to go there.
So we've got one yacht in the Caribbean and one road trip through.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just start in Maine and drive all the way down.
Work your way down, end on a yacht. Jobs are good. Oh, well, it's been such a pleasure chatting. Thank you so much for having me, for the sticky toffee pudding, the margaritas.
Oh, no, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, come back. Come back in the summertime.
Be here for the feast in the garden.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this Curated Spaces episode. And if you've enjoyed listening, please do hit that follow or subscribe button. It helps so much with finding new brilliant partners who keep the podcast going so that we can keep sharing the stories behind all of these amazing spaces. And if you are looking for more content, you can find links in the show notes to both our Instagram and Substack, or you can subscribe for our weekly roundup of slow travel and under the radar finds. Now go and crack on with booking that next trip, and I'll catch you next time for more Curated Spaces.